The Adventures of David Perkins. Like, subscribe, comment. Hello and welcome to the Adventures of David Perkins. This time I'm amongst the ruins of the Kharga Oasis in Egypt. The fort and temple of Qasr al-Zayin, the Big Fountain, was constructed in the year 140 of the Common Era by Roman Emperor Titus Aelius Hadrianus Antoninus Augustus Pius. Unlike similar forts nearby, Qasr al-Zayin is located on low ground. During the Roman period, Qasr al-Zayin was situated in the village of al-Ghuieta, the Great Well, an important stop on the road south through the desert to Esna. It is likely that this fort served to defend the area's oasis and subsequent agricultural prosperity. The complex is surrounded by a 2.5 metre thick mud brick wall, 26 metres wide and 70 metres long. The temple proper is dedicated to the god Amun of Hibis, who was known to the Romans as Amen Ibis. The temple was commissioned in the year 140 of the Common Era by the Emperor Titus Aelianus Hadrianus Antoninus Augustus Pius. However, the temple was never fully completed, as is testified to by the incomplete reliefs on the walls, and the lack of an entrance pylon and causeway, standards of Egyptian architecture. Qasr al-Ghuieta, the fortress of the small oasis. The ancient Egyptian name for Ghuieta was Per-Wesh-Esh, the Great House, and in its day the area was noted for its wine production. Bottles from here have been found in the tombs of Pharaoh Amenhotep III, Vizier Uza, Vizier Rekhmir, High Priest of Amun, Menhotep Eras Eneb I, and Puim Re, architect and second priest of Amun. Originally this hill was home to a small lone temple, but was greatly expanded during the reign of King of Persia, Darius I. King Darius had the single building expanded to include an atrium, transept, and middle sanctuary. The temple was maintained and added to over the following centuries. There are inscriptions around the temple to Ptolemy III, Euertes I, Ptolemy IV, and Ptolemy IX. Ptolemy IX has the rare distinction of being king not once, but twice. Ptolemy IX was chosen by his mother, Queen Cleopatra III, to be her co-regent. All went well until the year 107 before the Common Era, when an attempt of the Queen's life was made and Ptolemy IX got the blame. Rather than being executed, he was sent to be the governor of Cyprus, and they say crime doesn't pay. Ptolemy's brother Alexander took the co-regency as Ptolemy X. Ptolemy X ruled with his mother, Queen Cleopatra III, for 6 years, until the Queen suddenly died from being murdered. Ptolemy X, now sole ruler, decided to show how tough he was and got himself killed in a fight in the year 88 before the Common Era, handing regency back to Ptolemy IX, who now became ruler of Egypt and had his daughter Berenice III as his co-regent. Ptolemy IX died in the year 81 before the Common Era of old age. The Temple of Hibis dates to the Sate Persian period, from the years 664 to 404 before the Common Era. The temple is devoted to the god Amun, in his forms of Amun of Hibis and Amun-Ra of Karnak, who dwells in Hibis. The building was originally at the heart of the Egyptian oasis town of Hibis. Construction of the temple we see now began during the reign of Pharaoh Semek II, who converted and enlarged an older structure on the site. Many years later, Achaemenid Pharaoh Darius I made alterations to the temple, attested to by the wall reliefs. A series of rulers would go on to put their mark on the temple, including Pharaohs Hathor, Nectanebo I, Nectanebo II, and Ptolemy IV. Originally, entrance to the temple was by a sphinx-lined causeway over a now dried-out lake. The hypostyle hall is dedicated with hymns to the god Amun and accounts of the god's steeds. A rather notable relief is that of the god Seth fighting Apep, a forerunner to the story of St. George and the Dragon. Seth was the god of chaos, deserts, storms, disorder, violence and foreigners. As Lord of the Red Desert, Seth was counter to the god Horus, Lord of the Soil. Seth gave off mixed messages. On the one hand, he murdered his brother, dismembered the corpse and disposed of the body parts in various locations around the countryside. On the other hand, Seth was a positive role model when he travelled on the solar barge with Ra and thwarted the 10th hour attacks of the 14-metre-long, flint-headed enemy of Ra, Serpent of Chaos, Serpent of the Nile, World Encircler, Eater of the Souls, the evil dragon, Apep. The Egyptian priesthood gave this their top priority, and every year held a ceremony called the Banishing of Chaos. The priests would burn an effigy of Apep to protect everyone for the coming year. They thoughtfully made a rather detailed guide to fighting Apep called the Books of Overthrowing Apep. The chapters describe a gradual process of dismemberment and disposal. These are to include spitting upon Apep, defiling Apep with the left foot, taking a lance to smite Apep, fettering Apep, taking a knife to smite Apep, and putting fire upon Apep. They were taking no chances at all, but I suppose you can't with a 14-metre long flint-headed flying serpent.